You are listening to the Disney Dream Girls podcast, an unofficial Disney theme parks podcast, and this is show number 481 for Sunday, the 3rd of December 2023.
Where dreams begin.
Hello, and welcome to this week's Disney Dream Girls podcast. My name is Jane Phipps, and together with my partner in crime, Michelle Young, we are your guides to the place where dreams begin. Well, hello there, Michelle. This is a bit of an unusual circumstance. I'm not used to doing all this fancy malarkey introduction-y thing. I would ask how you are, but I think I know.
I might have to resort to doing smoke signals, but that's not very good for a podcaster, is it?
It's not really, darling, no. So we need to be very patient with Michelle this week and very understanding, because she's going to do her absolute best to see if her voice can last for as long as it needs to for this week's podcast.
Well, we couldn't manage it last week because I've one or two health issues going on at the moment, and then your timetable's busy. You're very busy with your Star Wars universe, which you can talk about in a moment. And this week was the only night that we could find to record, so it's like it's either now or never. So Jane, talk about what you've been doing with Star Wars, please, lovely.
Well, it's been very full on at the end of last week and then going into this week as well. So we've actually got we've had one little troupe, and now we've got another troupe coming up. We were asked by a local amateur dramatic society to go and support their kind of a Star Wars-esque themed panto. It was called Space Wars. It looked very interesting, is all I shall say. We went along and just gave a little bit of light relief sort of thing in between performances. So we were there to entertain the crowds towards the end of the matinee performance and then welcome people in towards at the beginning of their evening performance on Saturday. And they very kindly ran a couple of raffles, donated proceeds to our chosen charity, which for those of you in the UK is a charity called PASIC, which is a children's cancer charity. And then we've got another troupe coming up this coming week where we are going to support a corporate Christmas event, which all sounds very posh, but I don't quite know what we're doing as yet. That again is all in aid of this charity. The corporate entity has very kindly offered a very generous donation for us to go and appear. So it's all good for good causes. We would have been trooping again at the weekend because it is PASIC's Christmas party for the children. Unfortunately, we can't make that one. But it's all kind of a bit crazy and a bit busy at the moment. And then throw into the equation a weekend of putting up all my Christmas lights, and then Simon's giving a talk to a local art society this week all about his career in video games. So I'm not quite sure when I'm going to stop this week. I feel like I've got something happening every day of the week, and it's like, how am I going to get anything else done? Because I've got other decorations to put up. It's very important, Christmas. And at the moment, I'm having to squeeze everything in by every little magic moment that comes along.
Well, it's a good job you're retired. You never fit in enough time to do a job.
Well, that's what they always say, isn't it, when you retire? It's like you always wonder how on earth it is that you managed to go to work in the first place. And I think I'm finding out exactly that reason why. Yes, why did I go to work? How did I get things done? I don't know.
I've got a really, really busy week ahead. It is work. I have been dabbling with the sewing machine, trying to make a skirt for Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, which is now finished. It looks amazing. I'm really happy.
It does. It's gorgeous.
And I am having a hospital appointment to find out what they're going to do to improve my gastrointestinal type esophageal issue-ish. So hopefully I won't be being sick all the time, which has caused the bad throat. So fingers crossed I get some good news and a surgery day in January. But before then, I am so excited to be looking forward to a fantastic trip to Walt Disney World. And even as today there is the promise of meeting up with people in the park I wasn't anticipating to. So if that happens, I'll be really excited. But yeah, really, really looking forward to it. And it's getting towards a single-digit dance, Jane.
I know, I was just thinking, because I say everything seems to be coming at once at the moment, and then I was kind of counting down. I've got Molly and Dan visiting. Then it's my birthday weekend. I'm seeing you that weekend because I've got a bit of burlesque happening. And then I suddenly thought, and then Michelle's off to Disney World. It's like, where has that come from? It just seems to have sprung up out of nowhere.
I know.
Very exciting though.
I know, it's all so exciting, and I'm very, very excited about it. But Jane, talk to us. Give us some history, please.
Okie dokie. Well, I've just got a few little bits for this weekend. So I'm going to actually do the 2nd of December first, because I think this person always needs to be talked about, actually. So this is a birthday going back to 1935, and this is Mark Davis. So we all know Mark Davis. He's one of the quintessential 9 old men. He started as an apprentice animator at Disney Studios, and then he was basically thrown in at the deep end. They're going, right, okay, we're going to get you up to speed. Here's our instructor. Get down there, knuckle down, get on with it. And as a result, he became synonymous with so many characters such as Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty, Tinkerbell, Cruella de Vil, you name it. He's probably got involved in it. He was also one of Walt's original Imagineers. I don't know if you've watched any of the current series of Behind the Attraction. There was, I think, talking about Pirates of the Caribbean, and he was mentioned on that there. But he actually created an awful lot of the characters / animatronics for some of those classic Disney attractions that we know and love. So things like the Jungle Cruise, there was Mine Train Through Nature's Wonderland, the Tiki Room, as it was at Disneyland, Ford's Magic Skyway, great moments with Mr. Lincoln, the Carousel of Progress, It's a Small World, Pirates of the Caribbean, the Haunted Mansion, the Country Bear Jamboree, America Sings, and the never-built Western River Expedition. And Jane will now take a breath after saying all of those. I think he's kind of well known because he injected quite a lot of humour into his drawings that were then translated into the characters, particularly those that appeared in the parks. And lovely quote from him: "Drawing is giving a performance. An artist is an actor who is not limited by the body, only by his ability and perhaps experience," which I thought was fabulous. And then I'm going to go on to another animator now. And this is going to be on the 3rd of December, 1965. This is a birthday for Andrew Stanton. Now, Andrew Stanton is a writer, voice actor, director, and animator. He studied at the infamous Cal Arts, where he graduated in 1987, and then he joined, of course, Pixar. He was the second animator at Pixar, the first being John Lasseter, and he was the 9th overall employee hired at the studio. So he's worked on Toy Story, A Bug's Life, Toy Story 2, Monsters Inc., Finding Nemo, which got him his first Academy Award, The Incredibles, Cars, Ratatouille, Wall-E, Toy Story 3, Cars 2, Brave, Monsters University, Inside Out, Toy Story 4, Onward, and Soul. Yeah, another one that's got an almost a ginormous amount of talent. He did a little bit of live action directing as well on John Carter, and he produced The Good Dinosaur. He's also, because of his work on the films, contributed to the attractions It's Tough to Be a Bug and the Finding Nemo submarine voyage. And then we're going to flash forward to 1993. This was the passing away of Disney legend John Fowler at the ripe old age of 99. And I'm sure we've talked about Joe Fowler before, but I love this story because he was a retired Navy admiral that Walt got in to help build the 2 ships for Disneyland's Rivers of America. He also, after having got involved with that, became quite integral to the running of the parks as well. And I'm sure lots of people know that over at Seven Seas Lagoon, if you're taking a ferry over to Magic Kingdom, you may notice that one of the ferry boats is actually called the Admiral Joe Fowler in his honour. So, yeah, he helped with the construction of Disneyland. In fact, I think at one point he held 3 posts. So for a retired admiral from the Navy, he did pretty well for himself, didn't he? But yeah, so 99 years of age when he passed away. And that was on this day in history for this week.
Thank you, Jane, for all of those wonderful little pieces of flashbacks to the past to help us understand things better and appreciate them.
Definitely.
So a few bits of news from me. Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. Oh my word, there's only 3 nights with availability. That's Tuesday the 28th of November, which will be after our release date, December the 12th and Thursday, December the 14th. All other nights are sold out.
Wow.
Maybe people were waiting to see what happened with Jollywood before buying tickets, and then they've just gone like that. I don't know.
Well, I think even you said, Michelle, wasn't it, when you were looking at what you were going to be doing for your vacation, it was that thing of, let's see what Jollywood Nights actually brings and whether, how you want to spend your money. Because at the end of the day, to do both parties would be an awful lot of moolah. It makes it a very expensive trip, doesn't it, if you're going to get all of these things in? So perhaps you're right. Perhaps it is a case of people going, which would I rather, which gives me better value for my book?
Yeah. Well, looking at what has happened since the opening night, there's a few things that we've changed. They didn't go all the way I suggested of giving people the cookie, But
no, but I do think they'd listened, Michelle, because they did get some things right.
They did. They have brought in Stitch, Jiminy Cricket, Pinocchio, Snow White with Dopey, Mary Poppins with a penguin, and Duffy in his Christmas outfit. So if you are a character hunter and you want to meet some super rare characters such as Jiminy Cricket, and Duffy is nowhere to be seen in the USA, so those are some really good characters.
Definitely.
So that will help people who want to meet characters go away from the food lines. Wristband distribution seemed to be a lot better as well, because that got dealt with, so that seems to be going a lot smoother. Disney listened. And over at the Tip Top Club, the bar area seemed to have more bartenders, some more tables, and the queue seemed to be a little bit more organised. So that's good.
Well, it's nice to hear and see that they obviously have paid attention to the comments that were raised by various people and have acted upon those. I think it's disappointing that they didn't get it right first time when they're putting on these events all the time, but at least they've learned and they've listened and responded appropriately.
Absolutely. And as I said last week or the week before when we recorded, I do think this is fabulous. Disney build on it, make it better, make it better value, and make it so that more people will want a more adult feeling Hollywood night experience. And I think it's fantastic. Please, please, please don't just disregard this and throw it in the bin like you did with previous things you tried at the Hollywood Studios like The Villains. I think it just needs a bit listening to the fan base. Send out those surveys to those who went and find out what they would like to see. And I mean the genuine people who aren't just there to share it on the YouTube. I'm talking about, Mr. and Mrs. Smith from Potter's Bar in London, Don and Jan from Idaho somewhere. They're the people you want to be asking and appeasing.
Absolutely, and I think that goes across the whole board for Disney, doesn't it? They do. We know they do these surveys all the time. Listen to what people out there who enjoy Disney and are happy to come and spend their money with you actually want. And if you listen and you respond, things will turn around, and you'll get the response that you need.
Absolutely. I managed to catch up with Oppenheimer at the weekend, as we all know. I do not like to go and spend my money at the cinema at the moment, all going into the holiday pot. And obviously, I am not going to be spending a single cent on watching Wish. I know a fair few people have watched it and been to the cinema, and I have heard mixed bags. Some people have said it's got a lot of heart. I love the songs. I love the Easter eggs. Other people have said the story's a bit paper thin. It wasn't as enjoyable as I was anticipating. It's just a merchandise vehicle to sell more merch for this particular character. Go make your opinion, guys, and then let us know. I will say that this weekend's box office figures have become a little bit not as good as what Disney was anticipating.
No, definitely not.
So, well shy of its 45 to 50 million 5-day projection, looking at something in the region of $31 million.
I think the scary thing for Disney, Michelle, is that the amount of money they spent on making this film, we're talking, over $200 million, and then the advertising on top, and then having to get the return back of the cinemas. This is not going to break even, never mind do anything else. And they've got to be asking questions as to what's going wrong with their movies. I think there's a statistic out there that every movie that they've released this year has been a flop. And I think somebody was saying that out of the top 10 worst performing movies of all time, Disney have now got 5, and they're all from this year, which is not good at all.
But you can also consider that people are like me, not willing to go and spend at most of £40, $50 going to go to the cinema when they're paying X amount for all these streaming services.
Absolutely.
And I did notice that when Ralph Breaks the Internet went out in its holiday window in 2018, that only earned 84.6 million. And I don't think anybody is going to say that film was a flop, because it was a really enjoyable, unique story.
Yeah. And of course, the thing is that, you go back to, say, 2018 and you look at what cinema prices were back then compared to what they are now. There was an argument as well to look at, how many bums on seats are they actually getting? Because if cinema prices are, in some cases double what they were 5 or so years ago, then they're not getting as many people going. So, yeah, it's a tricky one. But, I mean, it's nice to see them doing something original. That was one thing, at least from this. It's, I think we've both said before, it's worrying when you've got the Toy Story 5 being talked about and the Frozen 3 and Frozen 4. And it says, you love those franchises and you don't want subsequent releases, sequels, to bring your enjoyment of those franchises down, because it's always going to be a hard act to follow when you've had such a high, like with Frozen. Subsequent sequels are, you've got this very high level to attain and maintain, and then that becomes really difficult. So good on them for trying to do something original. Let's just see if we can get it a bit better next time.
Yeah, and when you think about what's been out this year, Indiana Jones, a well-known and a well-loved franchise, Haunted Mansion film as well, well-loved theme park attraction, and struggled at the box office, failing to recoup their colossal budgets.
And this is the problem. It's, they're spending an awful lot of money. I think Mr. Iger has said that, they've got to look at the amount of money they are spending on these movies and make sure that when they are spending these vast amounts, that the most important thing is story. Story needs to be there to grab people to want to go and see it. And I think, like you've just said about Wish, I think we've all seen the mixed reviews. Again, I'm the same as you, Michelle. I've seen people that go, oh yeah, it's lovely, it's great. And then I've seen an awful lot where they go, it's not what Disney are capable of doing. And I think that perhaps is, again, they've got a very high standard to live up to, and a very high expectations from us all. So when it doesn't meet those, it's going to be an easy one for people to knock and call out. But they are Walt Disney. They've got to make sure that they're bringing the goods and giving the public what they actually want to see. And perhaps they just need to stop a little bit and look back and reassess. I had heard, which is that originally, the original storyline for Wish was going to be the origin story of the song When You Wish Upon a Star. And then they changed their mind.
Oh.
So, yeah, interesting. It will all come out in the wash, as they say.
Absolutely. So, thinking about going back into the theme park after, well, I suppose it's not so much of a gap for me, but more so for you. I thought we'd talk a little bit about some of the things that you really don't want to see in a theme park. And, even of recording today, somebody leaving the ride of It's a Small World, taking clothes off, walking around, later being arrested. I don't know the full story. I don't know whether it was a protest. I don't know whether it was because this person has a particular issue, or I don't know whether he just fancied a dip in the water. But we're not looking at that element. We're looking at the more general, more tongue-in-cheek type of things that people do in a theme park, perhaps without even thinking.
I must admit, I saw the story earlier on today as we were recording, and my first thought was, oh dear, somebody's not having a good day. I think was probably the nicest way that I could put it. But yeah, you're right. There's There's certain behaviours that are unfortunate knock-on effect of our times and mental health crisis that we seem to be going through. But then there are some behaviours which are just downright rude. I think it's those sorts of behaviours that probably wind both you and I up.
Can I start with the thing that annoys me most than anything?
Go on then.
And some people are just going to think, what on earth, Michelle, are you on about? And okay, fine, it may not bug you as it bugs me, but I hate seeing people filming themselves and filming themselves talking with their mouth full. I hate it. I hate people taking pictures where I can see how many fillings they've got and bits of undigested Mickey waffle hanging off their molars. No, stop doing it, people. I hate it.
Yeah, it's not a good look. People, I mean, it's just good manners, isn't it? That's how I was brought up, not to talk with one's mouth full.
Or take a picture with your mouth full.
Or yeah, even worse, no. I mean, I think it's just, for me, it's just general things like, littering. When you go to the likes of, say, Disney World, Disneyland, and there's a trash can on every flipping corner, you're falling over the blooming things, and then to see people have left, half full drink cups just on the pavement, or they just walk and just drop things. It's just disrespectful, and I don't like it. In fact, we were at a rather large Swedish furniture store earlier on today, and I actually commented that people had left Starbucks cups in the room displays. It's like, why? Just it doesn't weigh a lot. Just take it with you till you find a trash can. It's very simple.
You sit yourself down, ready to watch a stage show. Underneath the seat, there's somebody's half-eaten muffin or a cup of Coke. Heavens, guys, on your way out, there's a darn bin. So, I agree, Jane. Yeah.
It's just politeness, isn't it? It's just it's good manners. Maybe we've been brought up too well, Michelle.
The next one links into that, Jane, is where people are littering attractions, such as the hair bubbles on Everest, which is now quirkily starting on Seven Dwarfs Mine Train as well. I've seen it. Stop leaving them. Some poor cast member has to climb up all of those stairs and clear them off. And that includes leaving your dear departed granny's ashes in the haunted mansion because they get hoovered up. Please don't do it.
Don't do it, no. And going along that line as well, I think it's the disrespect that you can see sometimes happening for property. So, we know that some of the queues have become, slight disrepair, and it's because of the way that visitors have treated those walls, and, children allowed to kick them and climb all over things that they shouldn't be climbing over. I remember being at Disneyland Paris, and we actually went and got a cast member because there was a family climbing on the rocks that they should not have been climbing on. It wasn't safe, let alone the damage that they could have been doing to it. And I think it's a case of, again, it comes back to being respectful of your surroundings and acting appropriately for those surroundings, whether that be in relation to the physical aspects of a ride or an attraction, or the respect of others that are around you. Because I think this is when it can get a little bit tetchy, can't it? And we had the stories the other week about people believing themselves in queues and things like that. It's like, no, people, it's not tennis, is it? It's like, no, that's not what one does.
There's toilets all over the park.
Yeah. You don't go and join a queue that says 90 minutes if you can't hold it for 90 minutes. Simple as.
Bladder check.
Yeah, and if you've got little ones with you that, are able to use a toilet, it's what we call in our family, it's time for safety week, guys.
This is fake screaming. I absolutely hate fake screaming. You're riding Living with the Land and you're screaming. Hello. What are you people thinking?
Yeah. And I suppose that kind of goes in hand. If we all watch the vloggers and what have you, and they can be probably as guilty of this as well. And just that thing of like, depending on the ride that you're on, if you're talking into your camera about the ride, perhaps the people in front of you have never been on this ride before. Let them enjoy it's a difficult one. Let them enjoy the ride as it was intended, not with your running commentary.
Another thing that I absolutely hate. Jane, you hit the nail on the head with that one. So I'm going to now cover two sides of the same argument. Okay. For fairness.
Okay.
People with wheelchairs and buggies need space to manoeuvre because it's really difficult pushing a double buggy or pushing a 250-pound man or woman in a wheelchair around a theme park.
Absolutely.
You take time to manoeuvre. Then the other argument is don't use your vehicle that you're pushing around the park as a battering ram at my ankles either.
Well, it goes both ways, doesn't it? I will gladly move out of the way of somebody that has got a large pushchair or a wheelchair, providing that they also don't shove into me when I can't even see them because I'm in front of them. It's common courtesy.
It is, and it works both ways.
It does.
Completely does. And when you're running around the park, well, you shouldn't be running in the park anyway, but when you are moving with pace and purpose around the park, just have those eyes open, and parents, just keep an eye out for those little people. Make sure they don't wander off because we all know they're capable of it.
Definitely.
Bless them. Talking of something else that little people love and adore, and I am going to sound like the sweet catcher from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang here. I am so sorry. I don't mean it, but I hate bubble things. Any of them. Bubble ones, bubble guns. If your kiddie-winkle releases them at their height, I'm fine with it. But if they start shooting them up in the air into my sore eyes and I get bubble juice in my eyes and it goes ow or smears my glasses and I can no longer see, I don't like that.
No. Oh, I like bubble things, but yes, I can understand. It's funny actually because, I've only recently had to start wearing glasses all the time. And it's bad enough walking in rain and you can't see where you're going. So I might have a new appreciation for that I haven't had previously.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the last one that really does annoy me is I've got my food and I'm walking around the quick serve and there's table after table after table after table after table of people sat there with no food.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, nah, this isn't on. Get your food, then get your table.
Yeah, and I think coupled with that as well, it's a couple sat on a table that's designed for 6 or 8 people, and therefore the family of 4 or 5 can't find somewhere to sit. That annoys me as well.
Although I normally reach out to people and say, oh, there's space here if you'd like to sit down. I don't mind sharing my table.
I'm exactly the same as you, Michelle. I'm all for that as well. But I think, especially when you've got, even a multinational park like Walt Disney World particularly, and you've got people of all different languages, sometimes offering that seat is not as easy as it would be in your own home country. So, just, again, I think the word is common courtesy, isn't it?
Yeah. And I must admit, we all understand a little arrow pointing to a chair with your finger.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Bit of sign language goes a long way.
And I know my patience is going to be tested. It's the happiest place on earth, but at Christmas, is it going to be magical? There might be times where my patience is going to be tested, and I am just going to remind myself, Michelle, it's Christmas. People are here. People are excited. Just pack your extra patience pants this time. And one thing I'm going to do to try and greet people with positivity and put smiles on faces where people may be feeling a little bit under stress. Maybe it's that mum who's been brave and gone out of the house with her twins on her own and they are pulling at each hand and they are annoying her and they're kicking each other and they're begging for a churro and they're doing this and they're doing this. I'm taking some little candy canes and I'm going to do some pixie dusting to hopefully turn round a stressful occasion to a happy one.
Oh, and you know what? I had a little trick passed on to me was that if you are getting stressed or anxious about certain circumstances or the thing's not going quite right, stop yourself and count to 5. or count backwards from 5. And apparently, just by doing that, it stops your brain going into overdrive. So there you go. So that old adage about counting to 10, actually, there is some truth in that. So breathe, count backwards from 5, and it will make everything better.
Yeah, absolutely. Or just stop and think.
Yeah.
Christmas is magical. Christmas is magical. It's very crowded. Everybody's annoying. And just take some time out.
And at the end of the day, everybody that visits, whether it's at Christmas or the height of summer or whenever, is there and they want to make sure that they're getting the best time. I remember when we very first visited in 1991, we never thought we were going to get back to Disney World. Obviously, that wasn't the case. We got back quite a few times. But there's that element of, for some people, this will be their only chance at getting to Disney World, and therefore they're desperately trying to make every moment count and every moment be magical. And sometimes that wanting to make everything 120% perfect kind of sets you up for a fall. But if you've been there lots of times before, remember that some people will only be there for the very first time, and things do get stressful.
Absolutely agree. Jane, can you remind people of our social media and then sign us off? Because I've just about had it with that little bit of upset with the bubble ones.
Oh, has it got to? Is it making your eyes all teary?
No, I can't speak.
Oh, bless. Can we all send Michelle lots of love because she's feeling it this week. Her voice is racked, unfortunately. But yeah, guys, I'm going to try. This is going to be a test for me to try and remember where we all are. Crikey. So over on that Xy Twittery thing and on Instagram, you can find us at Diz Dream Girls. Go over to Facebook, try and find us on Disney Dream Girls Family Podcast. Join us over there. We have lots of chatter and share photos and trip news and goodness knows what else. It's always a good fun place to find us. You can email us at info@disneydreamgirls.com, and then of course we have our disneydreamgirls.com website, so all of our show notes etc are up there, and you can go back and find all of our previous shows. And then if you want to be uber duper super nice to us, if you go over onto Patreon and look for Disney Dream Girls, you can go and support us over there, which means that we can keep this show 100% ad-free. Have I got it all right, Michelle? Did I do it all right?
You've done an absolutely fantastic job, Jane, there. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for bearing with me. I hope it's not been too painful for you. It's been painful for me, but you know what? It's added some pixie dust and magic into my heart and cheered me up immensely. So until next week, it's a goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.